As only Elon Musk would, the billionaire strode into Twitter's headquarters this week, holding a kitchen sink. A not-so-subtle message to the company's thousands of nervous employees that the reality of him being their new boss needed to sink in fast. You can't blame them for being wary. The on-again, off-again deal wasn't a done deal until late last night, when Musk finally closed his $44 billion transaction, heralding a new era for the social media giant that will now be taken private and into the sole control of one man.
Twitter has become kind of the de facto town square.
And he's a man who courts controversy, describing himself as a free speech absolutist who plans to transform Twitter into a more freewheeling, uncensored platform without outlining any plan to uphold the company's efforts to crack down on misinformation and hate speech.
Well, I think it's very important for there to be an inclusive arena for free speech.
But one former Twitter employee described her concern.
Guardrails are really not for him when it comes to content moderation. Without guardrails on a platform like Twitter, you end up with hate, misogyny, conspiracy theories, and that's not positive for anyone.
For its size, Twitter has an outsized influence among celebrities, journalists and politicians, particularly here in Washington, D.C., where one Donald J. Trump was kicked off the platform for allegedly inciting the violence here on January the 6th last year. The worry is now, with the midterms just around the corner, Musk has said he will lift the ban on people like Trump, leaving the former president seemingly free to tweet what he wants to the millions of people who follow him and wait on his every word. Trump said today on his rival Truth Social platform, "I'm very happy that Twitter is now in sane hands," and has said in the past he won't rejoin. But let's face it, he could change his mind. So just how did we get here? On April the 14th, Musk shocked the markets and the world with an offer to buy Twitter for $44 billion. But just over a month later, he changed his mind, saying the deal cannot move forward because he had questions about the number of fake user accounts. Then, on July the 12th, Twitter filed a suit against Musk to force him to stick to the deal. After lots of wrangling in the courts, Musk flipped again, saying he would buy Twitter after all. The deal was closed late last night ahead of a deadline today, with Musk sending this simple tweet: "The bird is freed." But what will the bird do next? Musk has promised sweeping changes. He's already ousted 4 of Twitter's top executives and says he'll introduce new features like an edit button, get rid of spam bots and, of course, allow freedom of speech. But there was a warning today from Europe that Musk's bird will have to fly by EU rules.
There are certain activities which are not compliant with the rules, regulations and laws in the member states.
Musk already owns Tesla, and don't forget SpaceX that plans to land a man on Mars. Now he's added Twitter to the day job. Much rests on his shoulders, and whether his view of free speech will make Twitter better or worse.
Well, joining me now is Bruce Daisley, who was a vice president at Twitter between 2015 and 2020 and is author of Fortitude, Unpicking the Myth of Resilience. Bruce Daisley, this is a huge deal which has been on and it's been off, taken to the steps of the court in the end. Did Elon Musk actually want to buy Twitter, do you think?
It doesn't look like it. He certainly didn't want to buy it at the price he paid. If you track it versus Snapchat stock or Facebook stock, he possibly paid 4 times what it's worth. So it's probably the reason why he spent the last 6 months trying to wriggle out of the deal. I suspect now he's like the dog who caught the car. I suspect now he's going to deal with the consequence of an act of folly, really.
And of course, everyone wants to know what Twitter under Elon Musk will look like. It's quite difficult to sort of string together a narrative from what he says or what he tweets. You know, he's described himself as this free speech absolutist, but then said very recently he doesn't want it to become a free-for-all hellscape. Where do you see him taking Twitter?
I think we're going to see very quickly in some pivotal decisions. So your piece before just talked about the return of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is already agitating on other platforms that he thinks the Pennsylvania midterm Senate election is going to be a fraud. So imagine Donald Trump comes back within a couple of weeks. We're already seeing him try and disrupt American elections. Kanye West is a good friend of Elon Musk. Kanye West has been suspended from most social platforms over the last few weeks for posting really vile anti-Semitic abuse. Now, is he going to allow Kanye West back? And I think pretty quickly we're going to realize that Elon Musk is going to see that old adage, which is beware of simple answers to complicated problems. I think he's going to be presented pretty quickly with some difficult decisions to make.
And one of the most complicated problems on social media is the idea of misinformation and what you do about it. I mean, that's a real problem, isn't it? And one that he said during the on-off battle to buy Twitter was a concern for him.
Yeah, and that's it. He's spoken about the peril of bots. I think very quickly he's going to learn. You know, the thing I would say, I was so lucky to work there. And what you find when you work in a place like that is there's a lot of people really attempting to do the right thing. And over the course of time, they've learned. Twitter started as this frivolous place that celebrities used to tweet each other. Stephen Fry used to tweet Jonathan Ross. Over time, we learned that it was something that, unfortunately, could be subverted to impact politics and elections. And I think he's going to learn very quickly that it's far easier to post memes on your own Twitter account and far harder to make the make or break decisions. It's why actually that the likes of the EU has just legislated. That will be coming in about a year and a bit's time. I know the UK has spoken a bit about introducing a digital law. It just demonstrates that around the world, I think a lot more organisations are starting to say, let's take this out of the hands of billionaires. Let's not leave it to wake up and see what Silicon Valley is deciding for us every day. Let's treat this as part of the democratic system and legislate to control it.
Now, it costs $44 billion. You speak about billionaires. He said today he wasn't buying it for money, but for humanity, whom I love. That's quite a big present for humanity, however much you love them. He needs it to make money, doesn't he?
Absolutely. And is he saying that the fact he tried to get out of buying it for the last 4 months means he's got a conflicted relationship with humanity? I think, you know, this is probably post-rational decision. The critical thing is that he's had to raise a lot of money from people who've had to stump up cash. By all accounts, the Saudis are involved. Larry Ellison, formerly from Oracle, is involved. Now, these people have, you know, they've paid a lot of money. Twitter's probably worth $14 a share. He's paid $54. They're going to want their money back. And I think the fact that other people's money is involved is probably the biggest protection we've got, that he's not going to make completely rash decisions.
Bruce Daisley, thanks very much for talking to us today. Thank you.